So we're all on a journey to the mountaintop. And mountaintop has significance in metaphysics. It can mean the mountaintop is, for me, is seeing through spiritual eyes. When we realize and get to that place and remember that we're spiritual beings, having this beautiful human experience. And we move from just our limited human vision to a greater vision, and life has so much more perspective. It wasn't just Martin Luther King who went to the mountaintop. Every single person on our wall here, all our spiritual leaders, our heroes, went to the mountaintop. And one of the greatest journeys to the mountaintop was done by the great Jewish prophet Moses. Now, Moses isn't just a prophet for the Jews, he's also a prophet in Christianity and Islam and Baha'i and many other faiths. He also did God's will. And if you notice, God's will for Martin Luther King, he didn't have to get his people to the place he saw was possible. He had to do his part, which is true for all of us. We're here to do our part to make this world a world truly, what we say, that works for everyone, to do our part. And I want to share a little bit about Moses' journey, because if you notice, when we're living in that divine flow, use me, God. Now, we don't have to say God here. If some people have a problem with that because of past tradition, but use me, Spirit, use me, love, use me, life, use me, joy. Let me be used. And we get out of our own way, just as Pam was saying so beautifully. We get out of our own way so we can be used by this power greater than we are to do something more than we ever imagined. Now, we may not see the fruits of it, but we've done our part. Moses had to create miracles. And this week, Passover started on Friday, and Passover is the great celebration of the Jewish exodus from Egypt in slavery to the promised land, the Exodus. And in order to do that, Moses had to part the Red Sea, and it said that when they got to the Red Sea, Moses simply raised his staff, and the sea parted so the Israelites could walk on dry land across the sea. And when they got to the other side, Moses looked, and there where the Egyptian army was following them, and he simply raised his staff again, and boom, the army was gone. But he got to do that so he could lead his people into that promised land. He spent 40 years in the desert, still being called. Do you feel like you've been in the desert for 40 years? Sometimes. Sometimes. Nobody said this journey was going to be easy. Meaningful, yes, but not necessarily easy. But it was when Moses was called, he finally got permission to go to the mountaintop. He was 120 years old. Boy, and he made it to the mountaintop. There we go. But I want to read to you from Deuteronomy 34. It says, "Then Moses went up from the plains of Moab to Mount Nebo. The Lord said to him, 'This is the land of which I swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, I will give it to your descendants. I have let you see it with your eyes, but you shall not cross over there.'" You shall not cross over there. And then Moses, on the side of the mountain, he died. He did not get to go to the promised land, but he got to see it, and his heart was full. He knew there was something more for him. His life didn't end there, but he knew there was something more. So today, when we're talking about doing God's will, love's will, Spirit's will, life's will, whatever you want to call it, it's about really getting in alignment, knowing why we're here. Mark Twain said the two greatest moments in a person's life are when they're born and when they know why. When they're born and when they know why. And that's really our purpose. Why are we here? What are we here to bring more of to this beautiful life in which we live? The problem is, if we realize that the affirmation I really want you to leave with today to help us remember that we are to be used is, I am an instrument through which God flows. But again, you don't have to use God. You can use love, life, joy, health, prosperity, good, whatever you want. Spirit flows. I am an instrument through which, let's just say it together. I am an instrument through which God flows. Use whatever you want. I want you to use that as your affirmation to remember we need to keep in alignment with that good that's always there for us. So the human mind, now I want you to get this, is an extension of the divine mind, right? The eternal mind, because there's only one mind, right? We all with that? Yes, we teach there's just oneness. There's just one mind. It's the mind of God. We are an extension of that mind. So all the good, all that we can imagine, more than we could ever imagine is possible. Would that make sense? But we limit it. We limit that good because we have free will, and when we look through these little human eyes, we think, oh, we're only so small. We're climbing up this mountain. The mountain's pretty close, and it looks very limited, and we're tired, and we think there's only so much good to go around. And we start saying, you know what? I can't do it. I just can't do it. I don't have enough. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough. I'm not good enough. There's not enough for me. And we get on this merry-go-round of limited thinking. Have you ever been there? Yes, we all have. And we get stuck on that, and we think we're human beings with occasional spiritual insights and flashes. How boring is that? You know, would you want to ride on the merry-go-round over and over and over and over and over again? Once in a while, it's okay. Now, I'm not here to say that those things in that circle are flat denials of what is true and right and good for us. Flat denials. Now, I'm not saying we should live in denial. This human existence can be painful, there can be grief, there can be difficulty, and I believe that we're here to honor and recognize all of that and feel it and be there, because so often in the midst of that grief and that pain and that sorrow and that difficulty and that doubt, there's great breakthroughs that happen. We were sharing yesterday in our practitioner meeting about Buckminster Fuller, and brilliant 20th century visionary inventor who just, he did so many great things for this world, but it was at his lowest time in his life when he was 32 years old, when he had lost a daughter, a young three-year-old daughter, where he had lost his job. He didn't know how he was going to make it any further. They just had a new baby at home. He didn't know what to do, and he was really thinking of committing suicide because he thought, at least my family would have my life insurance. But he was a spiritual man, brilliant man intellectually, but also a man with great heart. And it was at that time he had a flash. And he realized that, no. You have no right to take your own life because you belong to the universe. You have important things to do here. You must keep going on. There's something for you to do. And it was at that moment that he had that flash of insight. He said, you know what? I'm going to see how much one man can do for the good of 100% of humanity. So he went on to, and his intention was to create a sustainable planet, that worked for 100% of humanity. Doesn't that sound like our vision? Create a world that works for everyone? But he had to hit that low point in order to do all the good works he did in the world. All the good works he did in the world. The same for us. We need to be available to feel all of life, because this human experience is for us. It's for our growth. It's for our advancement, that we can remember, oh, that's right. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. That is the mountaintop. When we can remember that alone, I'm a spiritual being. I belong here. I'm important. You see, if we can put things in perspective and set things right, life makes so much more sense. So I'm going to just talk in human terms right now, not from the spiritual side, but let's just say that if we put this all in perspective, that God is the boss. Right? I mean, there's only God, so God's the boss, and God is good, so I mean, thank goodness it's a benevolent boss. But God is the boss, and we're the workers. And the work we do, all of us, I believe there's one thing we're here to do ultimately. And that's to return to the place of oneness and of wholeness. You could see that through Martin Luther King and Moses. That's where we're returning. Oneness, wholeness, love, light, joy, goodness. We're to return to there, but it's a process to get there. We have to climb the mountain. Now, as the workers, we have the power. We say almost every Sunday, There's a power for good in the universe, greater than I am. And who can use it? Thank you. Some of us are using it and some have forgotten. But who can use it? Right, we all can. It's there for all of us. It's not selective. It doesn't care who you are. It's that you are an extension of that power for good. So the power is already there for us. And the tool we have to use this power is our mind. Now our mind is, it's a two-sided coin. It's a double-edged sword. We can use it for good or we can use it to be limited. What do you choose? Yeah, good. Me too, sometimes. Sometimes we all forget, but it's a double-edged sword, so we got to remember. So I would just like you to think about getting to that mountaintop, whether it's the spiritual mountaintop where we use our spiritual muscle, or if it's the physical mountaintop to see a greater perspective. We need practice and training. And I would imagine that most people here are not using the beautiful benefits of this spiritual community. In fact, I know you're not. We had our practitioner meeting. Do you know every Sunday after service, our practitioners are available for a gift to you of prayer? And I know, because I was told, that these practitioners are not being used to give their gift. That's not fair to them, much less to you. We have gifts to give. And we've got to be there and open the gift. It's already there. And we have beautiful classes. We have beautiful classes that Reverend Kirk will talk about and tell you. And I don't know how many people utilize the classes to hone the tools and skills of our spiritual muscle, that we can live a better, greater life and be in community with other people. Every Wednesday we have a meditation. And how many people utilize what's here that we can live a greater life? It's all here for us. Aren't we blessed? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. So what are we going to do now? The way Spirit uses us, God uses us, life uses us, is through the creative process, through flashes of creativity, where have you ever thought that something wasn't possible and then it was? Flashes of creativity, those things are there for us always. If we're going to live in the process of creative expression, we must be available to spontaneous creativity. Don't you love that? Just those flashes of, boom, I know something more than I did a few minutes ago. Boom, I have a great idea. A flash, boom, it's there for us. We've got to be available to that, and that means to me that you're fully alive. You fully show up in the moment. You unhook yourself from your past. Worry, Ernest Holmes says worry is just a terrible habit, an energy-draining, terrible habit that we have. We have to stop worrying, stop feeling inferior, stop making excuses. We have to stop all that, unhook ourselves from those past habits and move into the vibrancy of this moment. And part of that is learning to be lighthearted and joyful and fun. And when you go into a room, people are really glad you're there. Right? You know those people. Are you one of those? You can be. You just have to remember, turn on my lightheartedness, my fun, and be available for that good. Now, I know there's an awfully lot of people here who love logic and reason. Raise your hand if you're one of those. Good. Well, it has an important place in life, but just a place. It can't be all of life, because we don't find logic and reason in the creative flashes. That's part of the beauty. Yeah, it's a step to get there, but the flashes come when we let go. I want to read to you two quotes that I love that tell that pretty well. Out beyond the ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, and I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase, each other, doesn't make any sense. That's by Rumi, our 13th century mystic. And a more contemporary spiritual teacher and mystic, Paul Farini, he says this: let go of any idea you have about being right. I'm going to read that again just in case. Let go of any idea you have about being right. Let go of all the pictures of the way it should be. Just put one foot in front of the other. Just put one foot in front of the other and walk together in compassion. Be gentle and forgiving. Keep setting aside your thoughts and keep falling into your heart. Keep climbing to the mountaintop. Nothing else really means anything. Nothing else. We're on a journey of awakening, a journey of remembering. It's a process for us to get from our human mind to our place where we can see the bigger perspective. So Buckminster Fuller, I was looking at his list of books that he wrote, and he wrote over 30 books besides all the wonderful inventions he did in multi-different facets of life. And the title that really, it jumped out at me, and it won't let go, so I'm going to share it with you. It's, I Seem to Be a Verb. And the byline to that is an evolutionary process, an integral function of the universe. I seem to be a verb. We need to be really set on turning our inspiration into action, our contemplation into performance, and our prayer into possibilities. We need to do that. We need to be the ones to do the work. Now, Bucky's granddaughter, when she was reflecting on his life, she said, you know, the thing my granddad used to always say to me when we got together was, what's the most important thought we could be thinking right now? Isn't that a great thing? So simple. What's the most important thought I could be thinking right now? We could be thinking. And if you and I and all of us would just remember to jump onto that idea, what is the most important thing I can be thinking about right now? And if it's being used, being that instrument, you will know what the most important thing for you, and it may not be one of the things that was on the list you wrote this morning. It may be something much more, much more. So I want you to think right now, God uses us through creative expression to be more than we were, to let go of all that human stuff, the denials, and step into a greater expression of life. One of the gifts we have on this fourth Sunday of the month is our prayer wall. And as our practitioners and ministers come forward in just a moment, what I want you to do is I want you to be thinking of, where am I willing to be used today? Where am I willing to let God, life, love, use me for a greater good in my own life? And of course, when we're a greater good in our own life, we're a beneficial presence in the world, and then we're one of those people that lights up the room when you step in. Where am I willing to be used? Am I willing to be used in health, in relationships, in abundance, in creative expression, in service? Where am I willing to be used? And think, so when you come up to I don't want your merry-go-round to drag behind you as you come up here, okay? This isn't a place for our stories. Our prayer wall is about the possibilities to unleash a greater good in our own life. I'm going to invite our practitioners and ministers to come forward, please, and create a beautiful wall of truth. These beautiful beings are here because they love you, they love this community, they love this teaching, they love the possibility, they love the truth. They're here to know the truth for us. And so when you come up, I just want you to say, I'm willing either to surrender to a greater good, I'm willing to be used for health, I'm willing to be used for love, I'm willing to be used for abundance, whatever it is you want. But let your request here, your prayer request, be one that furthers your life into an expanded good. And as our prayers are coming to a close right now, we simply recognize and know there is a power for good available right here that's bigger than any one of us. It's part of all of us. That is the one mind of God that we use right now to expand ourselves into a greater knowing of the truth, that everything we need is here right now as we grow and expand to our next evolutionary place of existence, as we join together the hands and hearts of those around us, and together we unite in creating this world that works for everyone in love and peace and harmony and joy. In this moment, we take the time to open our hearts and feel the joy that is ever present right now. The effervescent presence of joy in our life ignites us to be that creative expression of good right here and right now. And as we release this and every prayer to the infinite mind of God, to the law that only knows to respond and say yes to that which is given, we rejoice in the infinite possibilities that are part of our life right here and right now. We say thank you, thank you, thank you. And it is together we say, and so it is. I cannot wait to see the joy and good that is not only present right here, but that awaits us as we allow ourselves to expand and grow. Thank you for being used. And thank you for using me and each and every one of our people here, that we may grow together in the light and love of the will for good. I bless you all. I love you all. And so it is.